Hello beautiful people, welcome to Sewing Miggy. My name is Megan. Today we're going to learn how to make a scrunchie. Here's some that I've made before. And you might want to grab yourself a paper towel holder so you can store all the scrunchies you're going to make after this tutorial.
What you'll need for this project: a cute fabric of your choice, scissors, these are fabric scissors here, hair elastics, like these wide ones, I just got them from Kmart, and also you'll need some matching coloured thread for your fabric. Don't forget you'll need a safety pin or a Wonderclip. By the way, Wonderclips are great and super helpful in your sewing journey. Next, we're going to cut our fabric into a rectangle of 4.5 inches by 20 inches, or if you use the metric system, you can do it 11 centimeters by 50 centimeters. Over here you've got me using my rotary cutter on a self-healing mat. This is really great if you want to get into more sewing, as it makes cutting really fast and easy. Alright, next we're going to scrunch up that fabric, kind of pleating it in a way, and gripping that in your hand, we're going to pass it through your elastic. The next thing we're going to do is then fold it in a half so the right sides are touching towards each other. And the important part here is we're actually going to keep those two edges at the end, or the two corners, pinned together or Wonderclipped together, because we won't be needing them until we get to the bottom of our sewing. Now just don't be afraid to hold it really nice and tight so you don't let go of that nice little fold in half you've done. And then we're going to turn it over so we can grip the other corner, and this is where we're going to start sewing. Now, placing that corner underneath your sewing machine, we're going to start our stitch here, just a normal stitch length about 2.4, and don't forget we're going to do a back stitch coming up, so you can see I'm going forwards, backwards, and then forwards again. The seam allowance can be about 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter long. Now, as we're sewing along, we're going to be pinching the edges of the fabric together to try and keep them even. And this is really important, and we don't want to be letting these folds get in the way. We want to try and keep it nice and flat as it enters underneath the needle. Now, you might need to start and stop a couple of times, and that's totally okay. You don't have to zoom through under the machine the whole way through. You can see I'm actually gathering up the edges here so that we can keep it nice and straight. You can actually see I'm pressing down with my right hand to keep it flat along the machine. We don't want it to start buckling or causing waves. And as we approach the end of the scrunchie, we'll then take out that safety pin we placed earlier, or Wonderclip that's holding it all together. Careful not to stab yourself with this part. Very good. Now we're going to finish off our line of sewing here, and we're not forgetting to backstitch. You can see I'm pressing that reverse part and then snipping it off. Here's the fun part. We're going to grab our chopstick and use it to help us turn this scrunchie inside out. So you can start the first bit of the turning inside out with your fingers, and then you grab your little chopstick, push it in while holding it firmly at the base, and just keep gently pushing and pulling until the scrunchie is turned inside out. And we're going to gently fold one edge of the scrunchie tube in on itself, and then tuck the other edge inside that folded edge, because we're going to be sewing across this in a moment. We're almost done making our scrunchies, so we're going to sew along that edge we just folded. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and the ends, keeping it nice and close to that overlap. So that's about 1/4 of an inch or just under a centimeter. And once you're done with the sewing, grab your little scissors and snip off any loose ends. And we're done! Well done! You've just made your first scrunchie.
Thank you for watching today's tutorial on how to make a scrunchie. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment or subscribe. Have a great day!